very relevant debates and concepts. So we invited three experts from different discussions, such as digital commons, sharing economy, social and solidarity economy in rural areas, and economic alternatives and degrowth. And we want to challenge the concepts of social enterprise with these discussions. For me, the reason why I'm particularly interested in this is that as the resilience concept has been so important these days, especially after the pandemics, we all hear about the need to resilient societies, resilient organizations, resilient communities, but some of us also fear that the resilience also means to go back to what things were before. And I don't think we can't, right? We can't go back to how things were before the pandemics. And this is also a chance to think about what we need to change in society so they can be sustainable. So we have this huge environmental challenge that we need to address, and we also learned a lot about each other and about the weaknesses of and strengths of our communities and institutions with the pandemics, and we should take advantage of what we learned and of facing these challenges before us in order to look for the future. So I like the transformative resilience concept. So if we have to deal with the concept of resilience, I think we can deal with the concept of transformative resilience, which is to draw from all the potential of SE, social enterprise, social economy, social entrepreneurship, to draw from their potential to propose, to test innovations that are really able to meet the needs of a changing world. And this can only happen through transformation of institutions, of communities, of mentalities. And maybe the SE field is a field where this can happen. So I'm very honored to have the three speakers with us, which I will introduce first of all. So you know what we are talking about here. The biography is also in the program, but I would like to bring them to your mind now. Mayo Fuster-Morel. Oh no, she's not there. She is the lead researcher of Digital Commons in the research group of the Internet Interdisciplinary Institute of the Open University of Catalonia. She is also a faculty associate in Berkham Klein Center for Internet and Society at Harvard University and at the Government and Public Policies Institute of the Autonomous University of Barcelona. She is director of Barcelona UOC Chair in Digital Economy for a platform economy focused on people's welfare and the right to the city. This is the result of an agreement between the Open University of Catalonia, the Barcelona City Council, and Barcelona Activa. She is also the UOC lead researcher of the European Project Plus, Platform Labor in Urban Spaces. She was also the lead researcher for the European Project Decode, Decentralized Citizens' Own Data Ecosystem, and the EGOP European Project P2P Value, Techno-Social Platform for Sustainable Models and Value Generation in Commons-Based Peer Production in the Future Internet. In 2010, she concluded her PhD thesis at the European University Institute on the governance of commons-based peer production, and she has numerous publications on this field. So Mayo is bringing us the discussion on the digital commons and the digitalization of societies. Juan, who is also there. Here, exactly. Juan Fernando Alvarez Rodriguez is professor of the specialization in social and solidarity economy management and director of the area of studies in transformative organizational ecosystems at the Pontificia Universidad Javeriana in Bogotá. He holds a PhD in social sciences from the University of Lisbon and a master's degree in social economy from the University of Barcelona. He is the president of the Scientific Committee of CIRIEC Colombia and a member of the Observatory of Social Economy and Employment. Juan has been working on this concept and the practices of social and solidarity economy, looking also at rural areas and rural development. Again, there is this big change of localization and of the capacities that these areas have in sustaining a future. Nadia, here. Nadia Joanisova, she is an associate professor at the Faculty of Social Studies at Masaryk University, Brno, in the Czech Republic. She has a degree in biology from Charles University in Prague and a PhD in environmental humanities from Masaryk University. She has taught, written about alternative economic approaches, policies and bottom-up initiatives. Her main interest lies in the interface between economics and the environment, and in the practical solutions which blend economic, social, and environmental benefits, such as eco-social enterprise and the social and solidarity economy. She has been working on linking the concept of degrowth to social enterprise. This is the work that she will be doing. So the organization I proposed here, and I will be quick, is 10 minutes each speaker. I challenge them with a set of questions on the way they are working on their concepts, like the sharing economy, social solidarity economy, degrowth, and other concepts they have been working on. What have been their contributes and their trends of these underlying these concepts in society, positive and negative, the lessons that we can learn regarding the way they can contribute to a post-pandemic world, like, for instance, how the sharing economy and the reciprocity in social and solidarity economy was maintained before the social distancing. These were my own questions. Also, how can these concepts and practices contribute to challenge the social economy, the social enterprises, and social entrepreneurship in a post-pandemic world? So the idea is that they will speak for 10 minutes. Then I invited them to make questions to each other, because this would fertilize the discussion. And then we will open up for your own questions, okay? So I invite Nadia, you are here. I invite Nadia, maybe, do you mind? I invite Nadia first to make a presentation.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so, well, in the end, I decided that I would use the little time I have the first part, to look at what are really the hidden reasons behind the COVID epidemic, and show that it is caused by a sort of global economic system that systematically disregards the natural world. And then in the second part, I would like to link this insight to a few comments on the way we frame and the way we think about social enterprises. As regards the first part, when the COVID epidemic first broke, I wanted to find out more about it, and so I did some research, and I found out it hasn't really come out of the blue, and it is not a unique epidemic, it seems. And between 1960 and 2004, there were actually about 200 newly evolved pathogens of contagious diseases transferable to humans from animals. So the danger of epidemics is actually accelerating, and I understand this may not be the last. And so the reasons for the emergence of the COVID virus and similar viruses are actually systemic and deep-rooted. I will mention a few of them quickly. The first is the industrial agriculture, agribusiness. So there are these corporate plantations expanding, especially in Asia, such as the oil palm and others, which are pushing small farmers to the borders of forests, or actually sending them to hunt in the forests for animals for city markets to survive, to keep their livelihoods. So this is one aspect of agribusiness, in fact, which has fueled COVID and epidemics. epidemics. Also, there are the large intensive animal farms, where we have a lot of animals concentrated in small areas, which lowers their immunity, and they are genetically homogeneous to boot, so this means they are more susceptible to illness, and there are actually other aspects. It's quite complex. So as the agribusiness, which is pressuring, which is helping to cause new mutations of viruses. The second factor I wanted to mention was the destruction of the last remaining habitats of ecosystems, such as wetlands or forests, which are again happening under economic pressure. And there is a direct impact, which leads to the loss of equilibria in the forests and elsewhere, which had been holding the pathogens in check. And indirect impact, where the wild animals get into close contact with farm animals once they have been sort of pushed from their original environments. And then again, the viruses can mutate and jump to new hosts. And the third aspect, the reason of the epidemics which are now proliferating, is climate change. Animals migrate to cooler places, then they meet with other animals essentially, and they transfer their pathogens to them. These processes, of course, are financially lucrative. The processes which fuel these epidemics, and they are financed by financial centers, let's say New York, Tokyo, London, by pension funds and by other financial institutions. So it's not a simple wet market in Asia which has started this. Pandemic is part of the environmental crisis and climate change. It is actually a part of the same process where the Earth system is being stretched to its limits. It's a little bit, the environmental crisis, including the pandemic, is a little bit like a dragon with many heads. We can't really cut off one because they keep growing back, so they cannot really be solved individually. So we have to address the deeper causes, which I think is actually the economic system, which has been via disregard for nature, building our prosperity essentially on the back of nature, and also on the back of peasants and women in the global south, but that would be another story, although quite related. So I told you these things, not according to your instructions, I'm afraid,
it's there.
to point that the gravity of the crisis we are in is unprecedented, and it is caused actually by business as usual. So what we really need is a socio-economic transformation, not only an ecological transformation, not even returning, not only a transfer to renewables will do the trick. We need some kind of complex socio-economic transformation. So I just wanted to sort of pass on this feeling of urgency, which those of us who are a bit involved in environmental issues have been feeling for some time. So that was the first part. And the second part, implications for thinking about social enterprise. I come at this term social enterprise from a European but rather heretical standpoint. So you kind of know the term can have different meanings in different continents. I feel that social enterprises are an important building block of such a transformation as we need, such a socio-economic with an emphasis on the economic transformation. And I've been feeling that it's a mistake to see them as only a vehicle for social inclusion into a system which is otherwise all right, which is a lot of the framing which has been going on. So my point is really the system is not all right. The system needs to be changed, and the social enterprises have to be, or would be a good thing if they were, or already are in some cases, a factor in this change. But if they are to play such a role, they need to be seen from a different perspective, from a different ontology, from a different worldview, compared to the one which they have been seen before. Because a lot of social enterprise scholarship is based implicitly or explicitly on the neoclassical economic paradigm. And this then feeds into definitions of social enterprise and into public policies for social enterprises on an EU level. And this again leads to many paradoxes in our framing and our understanding of social enterprise. I wanted to mention 3 of such paradoxes. Generally, we can get to more details later in the discussion. So, the first paradox. Social enterprises are supposed to produce positive externalities. They should produce social value, they should have social, ecological, cultural benefits and goals. They should not only have profit for a goal. So far, so good. But in line with the neoclassical model, at the same time they are expected to be efficient and to compete on the market. But efficiency is to a large extent caused by pushing your costs onto someone else, right? By producing negative externalities. So here is one paradox. On the one hand, they're supposed to cause social benefits and yet be efficient and to compete on the market, but this is contradictory. The second paradox. Social enterprises are supposed to have democratic governance and to be locally rooted, which is great. But according to the mainstream paradigm, which is often internalized by themselves, they are supposed to grow and expand and even internationalize. Okay, but the bigger they are, the less rooted in a place they naturally become. The bigger they are, the more difficult it is for them to have a democratic governance. So that's the second paradox, which I see in the discussions often emerging around social enterprise. And the third paradox, social enterprises are supposed to enhance employment. And yet, according to the mainstream paradigm, at the same time, they need to be efficient and compete on the market again. But if you want to be efficient, then employees are the greatest cost. So if you're employing people rather than machines and robots, you're not really being efficient, right? So the bigger companies become efficient by shedding their workforce, by or offshoring, outsourcing, by automation, and so on. So this was the third paradox I wanted to point out in the discussions about social enterprises, which often goes unmarked and is caused by often unconscious reliance on a mainstream, unreflected mainstream economic paradigm. So if we view social enterprises from the normative stance of neoclassical economics, in other words, we expect them to square the circle, to be all those contradictory things at once. So what should we do? Because I don't think I have much time left, I can leave this to the discussion. I do have some ideas, but social enterprise scholars, I think, should instead acknowledge social enterprise in their otherness, social enterprises in their otherness. I think that would be the take-home message. And they should relax the normative assumptions generated by their acceptance of the mainstream economic dogma. Social enterprise may then be an impetus to change mainstream economic theory as well, and its assumptions. And this might be another important step to the socio-economic transformation which we desperately need. Thank you.
Well, you addressed whatever I wanted.
Yeah, I didn't obey you.
You didn't know, but really wonderful and challenging, right? So we started with the first brilliant challenge. I think we will keep discussing until tonight. Juan, I would invite you. I will invite you to step now, to make your presentation now.
Okay, muchas gracias. Muchas gracias a los organizadores. Silvia, un placer conocerte. ¿Me oyen? ¿Me pueden oír?
Okay, can you hear us?
Okay.
Okay, so you can start.
Feliz día. Ok, feliz día,
You
un
can
placer
start. Can we
saludarte.
hear him?
Yes.
Are you speaking?
O- ok, ¿me oyen?
We cannot hear you.
¿Sí me oyen bien?
We cannot hear you, Juan. We cannot hear you. Is it our problem or their problem? His problem? Can you check
Ok,
your?
no.
Sorry. Can you check your
Bien, bien, te
your
oigo
connections
perfectamente.
or
¿Me
your
oyen?
microphones? We can hear you very,
¿Me
very
oyen?
low. We almost don't hear you.
Ok, ¿pueden subir el volumen, por favor?
Ah, you can increase
Ok,
the sound more.
sí. Ok, perfecto. Un gusto. ¿Puedo empezar?
Sí.
Ok, perfecto. Muchísimas gracias por este espacio, por este encuentro en común. Y he oído con atención la excelente intervención de la colega Nadia y las demás ponencias que ponen énfasis en cómo la pandemia ha profundizado la desigualdad a la vez que la vulnerabilidad, los desequilibrios sociales, ambientales y económicos. La pandemia ha puesto la primacía tecnológica como elemento vital para el acceso a los bienes y servicios, pero esta tecnología no ha logrado permear las causas raíces de la insostenibilidad. Eh, la consolidación de los combustibles fósiles como base material de la acumulación de capital, la preeminencia del crecimiento sostenido basado en un consumo cada vez mayor de los mismos combustibles fósiles, la deforestación y causas raíces que en Latinoamérica asociamos al colonialismo, al neoliberalismo y al desarrollo desigual y poco sostenible. Desde nuestro punto de vista, la pandemia ha traído una profundización del sistema de exclusión y desigualdad, a la vez que un debilitamiento del estado de bienestar, transferencias de pérdidas económicas a los contribuyentes, a la vez que incremento de creación de dinero virtual y de sustitución de dinero físico, profundización de explotación laboral y extractivismos, aumento del control social y pérdida de libertades individuales. Y en este escenario, la economía social, solidaria, las empresas sociales entran en un espacio de resistencia, de disputa y como medio de transición hacia otras economías, propiciando cambios en el consumo, en la producción, como transición. Y ha mostrado también la creciente incapacidad estatal y de los mercados para generar equilibrios básicos. Tenemos mucha información sobre precios, sobre mercados, sobre elementos con los que se calcula la primacía de las empresas en los mercados. Pero tenemos menos información sobre el capital social, sobre las relaciones que se tejen en las empresas sociales, sobre la capacidad de aportar al ambiente y sobre la incidencia social y política de la cohesión social que muestran nuestras organizaciones. Eso que generan nuestras organizaciones finalmente está por debajo de lo que normalmente se calcula. Lo que vemos en los mercados es que lo que tiene que ver con la actividad financiera, especulativa, los ingresos, el crecimiento, el número de empleos, es la punta del iceberg de todo el desarrollo de base que generan nuestras organizaciones. Desde nuestro punto de vista en Latinoamérica hay al menos 6 enfoques para la transición de la economía social y solidaria, como le denominamos, en un mundo pospandémico. Los enfoques son los siguientes. Un enfoque en el que las organizaciones deben actuar en sintonía con su identidad, con una identidad que propicia, por ejemplo, en los principios cooperativos, la preocupación por la comunidad y la responsabilidad frente a las acciones ambientales. En segundo lugar, nuestras organizaciones deben responder a las necesidades de su territorio por su vocación local, por su vocación de proximidad. Y en eso sí que hay muchas organizaciones que en medio de la pandemia han profundizado las respuestas a las necesidades territoriales. Asadas en Costa Rica, acueductos rurales en Colombia, en Bolivia, asociaciones civiles de protección al ambiente en Brasil, en Paraguay. En tercer lugar, nuestras organizaciones están profundizando sus espacios de acción con movimientos, por ejemplo, por el decrecimiento, por los procomunes, movimientos feministas, movimientos por el buen vivir, que se sintonizan con la práctica de nuestras empresas. Hemos visto también cómo algunas, por ejemplo, cooperativas, han buscado generar una estrategia de incidencia global apoyándose en la contribución a los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. Otras organizaciones ya están transitando a un nuevo pacto verde, a un Green New Deal. Cooperativas eléctricas, cooperativas de recicladores, organizaciones de preservación ambiental. Finalmente, las organizaciones que estudiamos, algunas siguen un enfoque de optimización empresarial y un modo de proceder que pone en el centro iniciativas como la economía circular, las finanzas éticas, etc. De manera que las organizaciones que estudiamos ponen en la punta del iceberg su beneficio contable, la generación de empleos, el crecimiento, pero en realidad lo que generan en su desarrollo son la liberación de muchos recursos que terminan beneficiando a los asociados cada vez que consumen un bien o servicio de nuestras organizaciones, que además utilizan sus excedentes para distribuir en fondos sociales, para contribuir a los objetivos de desarrollo sostenibles y para generar aportes al bien común. De manera que la constatación que hemos visto es que aquel lejano objetivo de los pioneros de Rochdale en 1844, de poner en el centro de las preocupaciones de una cooperativa al hombre y sus necesidades, ha sido más que replanteado. Nuestras organizaciones ya no solo ven al hombre y sus necesidades, sino que buscan transformar la vida de las personas, pero hacer además transiciones organizacionales mediante innovaciones en la forma de proceder. Generan transformaciones comunitarias y ponen en el centro la preservación de la vida, las transformaciones planetarias. Hablamos entonces de organizaciones que ponen en el centro la inclusión casi ecosistémica de todos los seres vivos. Sus necesidades, por supuesto, pero sobre todo su hábitat y el equilibrio de los territorios en convivencia pacífica. En un mundo post-pandémico, nuestras organizaciones tienen el reto de sintonizarse con la transformación de sus espacios vitales y tejer las nuevas relaciones en el territorio. Lo que hemos constatado es que estas organizaciones responden a las demandas del territorio, a las preocupaciones de las instituciones locales y nacionales y las necesidades de las personas, conformando con esto un ecosistema organizacional que transforma y que logra equilibrios que los mercados basados en empresas de capital, en la primacía del Estado como organizador de la actividad económica y de la tecnología como medio de acceso a bienes y servicios, no ha logrado generar. Un poco esta es la visión sobre la cual en Latinoamérica hemos estado viendo estos asuntos. Junto a un colega de la Universidad de Zaragoza, la profesora Carmen Marcuello, hemos estudiado organizaciones en toda Iberoamérica, en cerca de 18 países. Recientemente salió un libro por el Observatorio Iberoamericano de Economía Social, donde estudiamos expresiones de monedas sociales, empresas recuperadas por trabajadores, incubadoras cooperativas de tecnologías populares, organizaciones que se basan en el buen vivir, en las prácticas indígenas de los mayas, las milpas, en cooperativas de combatientes en Colombia, en cientos de formas que emergen para generar transiciones. Por supuesto, es un reto en este escenario post-pandémico generar reactivación, pero también es un reto sintonizar las condiciones institucionales a las prácticas de mercado y de no mercado, a las prácticas de reciprocidad, de donación, a las prácticas diferenciadas de estas organizaciones en los mercados. Bueno, el tiempo se me ha agotado y agradezco mucho este espacio para compartir. Silvia, muchas gracias. Los micrófonos son tuyos. Gracias.
Gracias. No te vas porque no hemos terminado ainda. I don't know, I tried to check, but the translation is not working. So, I will summarize for those who could not understand, including Nadia. But I missed a bit by trying to do the technology, so I can only bring some of the things that Juan was saying. So, he first addressed the way the pandemics is affecting regions like Latin America and how the pandemics just deepen and made even more visible the significant inequalities in these territories. So they not only came to the fore, but they were deepened by the effects they have in societies, in the economies, in people. So this is the way we are with the pandemics. Now, regarding social and solidarity economy organizations and how he identified a set of ideas, important ideas, that how they were contributing to more sustainable societies. And he mentioned several examples and several ways and areas where they are operating. I am going to be quite superficial because I was trying really to do many things at the same time. So one of the ideas is this creating of an identity of organizations around cooperation, around organizational forms, which are different. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. No, sorry. Puede no traducir porque lo último presentador ha traducido, ahora yo estoy intentando de traducir para inglés y ¿qué ha dicho? This is fun. So he was talking about this identity of organizations emerging around cooperation and around new, around different organizational forms than, state or business as usual. He also he also talked about their local vocation in the way they emerge and they try to answer and to reply to the needs that emerge at the local level. And this includes also the issues of environment and the way the environment is being also destroyed and changed with global warming, for instance. They are also spaces where there's been a deepening spaces of action, meaning that they are also creating spaces for society to act. Namely, when they combine with feminist movements of buen vivir, and environmental movements. So these organizations also create spaces for society to act. He also talked about the way cooperatives can also have a global reach in terms of the way they are connected, the way they think also about the sustainability in the world, and part of this was through the development goals, sustainable development goals. And this, by addressing these goals, this is also a way of outreach to the global scale and to the global issues. He also then mentioned the organizations we are specifically for sustainability issues, such as alternative energy, alternative consumption, and other examples, where they do organize around the issue of sustainability. He also addressed the way the social solidarity economy relates also with the economy in some areas, such as circular economy, ethical finance, so how they relate with also the mainstream economy around these discussions and around these concepts. Also the role in transforming the life of people and preserving the life of people also, and their cultures, such as language and practices and knowledges that are preserved by these organizations. So he talks that there are so many areas where they are touching, that they provide a sort of ecosystemic inclusion. People is included not just as social and politically through action, but also in their relationship with the environment and in terms of their culture and their knowledges. So he thinks this means that this organization brings new relations that reply to the needs of territories, and provide a contribution to ecosystems that are looking for more equilibrium between the action of public action, private action, and social and solidarity action. I don't know, Juan, if that this is what you said, but this is what I heard. Okay, then you can correct me afterwards. Mayo, I would give the floor to you now, and I'm sort of praying that you are going to speak in English, I hope.
I was going to speak in Spanish, but I have to speak in English. ¿Sí, me oyen?
We cannot hear you yet. Are you speaking? No.
So do you want
Yes,
that I
and
speak
we
in
cannot
English?
hear you. Is it ours or her problem?
Hola, yo os oigo perfectamente.
Turn on something. Microphones. Can I hear it here?
Hola.
Do you have
Hola,
the
hola,
app?
hola. Ahora sí. Hola, estoy muy contenta.
It's coming. Now it needs to be louder.
¿Sí?
But-
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you prefer that I speak in English or in Spanish?
English, please. English? Who is Spanish here and cannot understand English? English, please. Mayo, English, because we don't have a translator from Spanish to English, I think.
Okay. So
High, the sound. But now I think we can hear Mayo okay. Okay. The floor is yours, Mayo.
okay, first, thank you for the organizers for inviting me, and I'm very happy to participate in the conference. So my contribution is going to be regarding how the new technologies, and particularly what is called the platform economy or collaborative economy or the sharing economy, bring to the debate. No, how the expansion of the platform economy tell us regarding the situation of social economy after the pandemic, and in general the economy after the pandemic. So the platform economy, as I say, it can have many names like collaborative economy, sharing economy, gig economy, like there are many terms that basically refer to a form of production that is replacing the Fabric as the reference production in the industrial era to the platform, digital platforms as the reference of production in the digital economy, in the digital era. So we are seeing how more and more in different sectors in society there's a transition towards organizing the production and the distribution and the consumption supported by digital platforms. So here we have communities of people that are dispersed, teleworking, working from outside and coordinated through a digital platform instead of going together to a fabric and work all together. No? So this mode of production that is already 40 years that it's been expanding has come up with the adoption of technology, has been expanding through many sectors. The first one was from the production of software and the production of digital contents, like cases like Linux or cases like Wikipedia. So mainly immaterial and knowledge production, the production of immaterial things being developed through a digital platform. But now it has been expanded through most of the areas of economic activity. Also the production of physical things like cars with the open design, or there have been several waves of expansion of this model. We have seen also the arrival of the provision of services like mobility, like the case of Uber, taxi services, or vacational rental, like the case of Airbnb, or even in we that are academics in the academic production with the open access and the repositories being collected through digital platforms are provided through digital platforms. So there are, as I say, we should not see it as a sector, but as a model that is expanding in all different sectors, and it's the emerging model that is going to prevail more and more. No, that was the case before COVID. But now with COVID, the level of digitalization and platformization of the economy has become like the norm, like not the norm, but it has expanded a lot, because now the number of the percentage of workers that are working from home and the expansion of telework has increased, and also has increased the digitalization of the economy regarding most of the ambits of economic production. So that's the situation that we find now. Like one of the things that COVID bring has been the digitalization and platformization and the increase of the expansion of the platform economy. It's important in the platform economy, though, to have present that there are different models of platform economy, that not all of them are the same. Like there is what is called the platform capitalism, with cases like Uber, Airbnb, Deliveroo. Depending on the country, you have the more famous ones, but this model of platforms that are supported by multinational, that have a very private kind of technology, and their model is basically supported by the dismantling of the working rights, even the figure of the worker. This is one of the models. It's the more famous, but it's not the first to appear, and it's not neither the one that is the predominant in all the ambits, the sectors of the economy. Then there is the other model, the what is called platform cooperativism or open cooperativism. That is when the platform that supports the interaction is owned by a cooperative or by an association, but that there are the main difference between the platform capitalism and cooperative platform has to do with three main elements. One is the governance, regarding that in the platform cooperativism, you have foundations like the case of Wikipedia, or you have cooperatives like the case of SmartBee. Smart Bee is a cooperative of freelance in the cultural sector that they provide, like musicians or photographers or clowns, no, any kind of cultural expression. That generally they were developing their work as freelance, and now they mutualize their services through this platform. Now it has 250,000 members in Belgium, and it's present in other countries in Europe. So here we have a case of cooperativism that is been able to scale a lot. Like there is generally in cooperativism we have had this debate about the scalability of the model and the challenges of scalability. One of the elements that bring the platform cooperatives is the possibility to scale in dimensions that we were not used to for cooperatives. Used to see. So as I was saying, the first difference between platform capitalism and cooperative platform is the governance. It's very different a cooperative and a foundation or any kind of form that has a democratic mechanism for its management between the people who interact through the platform than multinationals that provide this platform and those who produce the value or use the platform doesn't have like even the condition of workers. So even they cannot have like the representation of a trade union or can have the traditional models that we used to have for integrating those also contributing value into the companies, no? Now this is being challenged by this is a ongoing situation. There are depending on the country you have different situations, but in Spain we have very important judicial cases that are challenging this model, this element of not considering workers those who provide services through the platform. And the new legislations in general tend to challenge this, but not always. At the European level, there is support. So it depends on we are in the current battle about if this model of not considering workers, those who interact in the platform, is going to prevail or not, or which rights is going to have, working rights are going to be in the digital platform economy.